Welcome to the Headlines. I'm Dennis Wu. Thank you for joining us. In New York City, Tzu Chi's UN Working Group hosts a site meeting at the United Nations 55th Commission on the Status of Women. Breathing new life into unwanted hotel blankets, Tzu Chi volunteers in central Taiwan help needy students stay warm during their in-school afternoon nap this cold winter. And in the Dominican Republic, Tzu Chi honors exemplary students at La Romana Tzu Chi School. Before we begin today's program, we first give you an update on Tzu Chi's earthquake relief efforts in New Zealand. Besides fundraising, volunteers from Auckland have arrived in Christchurch to assess the situation and to hand out 448 blankets. Meanwhile, volunteers in neighboring Australia have also sent supplies. We will continue to keep you posted. Now we turn our attention to the United States. Tzu Chi volunteers in San Bernardino of Southern California have been regularly holding free clinics for local residents for the past 17 years. 7 years ago, volunteers also began providing medical services at Lido Creek Elementary School on a yearly basis. Moved by Tzu Chi's love, 2 students came to the clinic site to pass on to the volunteers their full coin banks.
This is the 7th year of Tzu Chi's free clinic at Lido Creek Elementary School in San Bernardino, California of the United States.
We have the opportunity to be here today because of the kindness of many people. If you have the heart to help people, it's difficult to do this on your own, right?
80 Tzu Chi volunteers, medical staff and translating volunteers are grateful for the opportunity to give. Tom Rivera, an associate dean at California State University in San Bernardino, is the one who helped establish Tzu Chi's free clinic 17 years ago, and he's here with his wife to give a helping hand. Medical services include dentistry, internal medicine, acupuncture and family medicine. This free annual clinic is a great help to nearby residents.
On the last two, that's all right.
In a ceaseless cycle of love, a patient Hochito Selagar and 2 students from the school all bring their full coin banks to the clinic and donate them to help others in need. Despite the cold weather, this simple gesture is bringing warmth to all.
Staying in the U.S., the UN Commission on the Status of Women opened in New York on Tuesday. Tzu Chi's UN Working Group organized a side meeting on the topic of breaking the cycle of poverty of women and girls through education and training. 2 of the guest speakers were Gladys Enkma and Tolakathle Mkhizi, who are senior Tzu Chi volunteers from Durban in South Africa. The 2 share the success story of local vocational training centers that empower Zulu women.
On a crisp, windy, bone-chilling day on the east coast of the United States, the 2011 Commission on the Status of Women opened February 22nd at the UN in New York. On the same day, the Tzu Chi UN group organized a panel workshop on breaking the cycle of poverty of women and girls through education and training, which attracted 120 participants.
Good morning, everybody. Good. This is good. Really appreciate everybody coming over here. This workshop is hosted by Buddha Tzu Chi Foundation. Zulu sisters, Zulu commissioners, share their woman in power, how successful they are.
South African volunteers Gladys Ngema and Tolakathle Mkhizi talked about the success story of Tzu Chi's vocational training centers in Durban and how manufacturing and selling handmade accessories and clothes had helped empower African women.
We're making this for churches. We're making school uniforms taught by Tzu Chi. We get money. We're able to feed those orphans. We're taking care of more than 5,000 orphans.
We've got 5,000 volunteers in different places. We feed children, but they are very hungry. They just get meals twice a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Good sisters who were motivating me. I must thank them very much because it was the first time I met so many people in different countries like this. People, they will say I've done very well. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of Tzu Chi Foundation, what they did to me.
Apart from the South African volunteers, the Tzu Chi UN team invited 3 other speakers at the workshop, including including Ellen Al-Dakar, a UNHCR official in Malaysia.
3 generations, grandparents, parents, children have never had any access to school.
Food for the Poor improved the assets of 1,475 women, and basically that's when we start building the homes with these women and families.
The good-natured 90-minute meeting was an eye-opening experience for many of the participants.
People who have come here today hearing about Suu Kyi's work for the first time to get started, to take action, and to turn many of these dreams into realities.
Skillfully laced together by the charismatic chairperson, the various components of the workshop conveyed Suu Kyi's determination to alleviate suffering wherever it might be.
Back in Taiwan's Taichung, the Taiwan Sunshine Women's Association has long worked with Chunnan Elementary School to provide needy students with after-school classes. This means the students eat their lunch at school, take a nap, and then get extra tutoring from their teachers. Since this winter was especially cold, the students needed blankets to keep them warm during their afternoon nap. And local Tzu Chi volunteers arrived just in time with an eco-friendly and cost-saving solution. Following lunchtime at Chunnan Elementary School, students in this classroom are taking a nap on the padded floor as usual, except now they all have a warm blanket to wrap themselves up in.
Before, when we didn't have blanket, we would use our school bag as a pillow and cover ourselves with our jacket. Now with the blanket, we can keep warm during our nap. Before, without a blanket, napping was cold and uncomfortable, but now we can stay warm and comfortable during our afternoon nap.
The blankets are donated by local Tzu Chi volunteers who went to local hotels to collect unwanted comforters. After a nice wash, these bedding have a new purpose again.
These warm blankets are filled with love and have been a big help to our students in both their studies and life.
The students in this after-school class are those in financial need. When they take their afternoon break, they need blankets to get a good rest.
Most of the students are either from low-income families or indigenous tribes. The volunteers just want to do their part to make the students' life a little easier, while conserving resources at the same time. Starting this segment of the show in the Philippines, where another fire broke out in Pasig City of Metro Manila last week on Wednesday, February 16th. An unattended stove led to the blaze, which destroyed 33 properties and left nearly 100 families homeless. 3 days later, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at the temporary shelter, where residents were staying, to survey the damage. On the same day, volunteers brought back relief items to help the fire victims along the path through recovery.
Here at Barangay Bagon Ilog in Pasig City of the Philippines, 84-year-old Rosa Angelo spent her life savings on this house, which was destroyed by the recent fire.
Of course I feel sad, but there's nothing we can do about it. No one wanted this to happen. I'm very thankful. Even though we have different religions, you being Buddhist and us Catholics, I feel extremely grateful for the help you have given us.
An untended stove was the cause of the recent fire. Nearly 100 families were left homeless and had to relocate to a sports stadium, which had been turned into a temporary shelter. With the arrival of Tzu Chi volunteers, some residents break down in tears.
Buddhist Compassion Relief Tzu Chi Foundation. Tzu is a Chinese term that translates as giving love, and Chi means giving relief.
In the residents' hour of need, the volunteers bring relief items to help each family. The house owner who left her stove unattended begs for her neighbors' forgiveness.
I hope my neighbors will forgive me. What happened was just an accident. You come here and wholeheartedly help us, so we have the blessings to start anew.
With Tzu Chi volunteers by their side, residents know they're not alone on the path to recovery.
Hualien's Yuli Elementary School in Taiwan established a youth baseball league for children from underprivileged families 2 years ago. Coming from different indigenous groups and backgrounds, all the students share the same passion for the sport. But because the team is low on funds, the boys have to use old baseballs again and again. Recently, as the team's 200 baseballs are wearing out badly, the school and staff organize fundraising activities. In our next report, we follow students to a local paddy, where the boys rolled up their sleeves and pants to sow some rice seeds to raise money for their team. Let's take a look.
The baseball team at Yuli Elementary School in Taiwan are on a mission to sow a dream for their future. Like playing baseball, planting seedlings requires skill. Students are finding the seemingly simple steps actually quite difficult and finally understand the hardship that farmers go through.
We sink in the mud and it hurts when I step on something.
Every rice seed is a hope for each of the students' futures. An elderly woman also passes on her tips to the children. Only established 2 years ago, the baseball team is made up of children from single-parent or underprivileged families. All coming from different backgrounds, the boys are connected through their passion for the sport.
The children are mainly raised by their grandparents, and in single-parent or underprivileged families, they live on campus. In this way, we can care for, manage and train them.
To raise funds for new baseballs, the students sign their names on old balls and all look forward to a better future.
We've been practicing for nearly 2 years. The baseballs are all damaged. We need new ones. I hope we can exchange the 200 old ones for 1,000 new baseballs.
The baseball team not only brings hope to the children's lives, but is also making their dreams come true.
In our continuing series of portraits on volunteers in China's Fujian province, we go to Xiangzi village near Sisi City to meet Mr. Cai Sa-tian. Now a relaxed recycler, Mr. Cai used to be a busy ship's captain until 10 years ago when he contracted cancer of the throat. Forced to retire after having his larynx removed, he decided to sign up as a Tzu Chi volunteer. Although he has to put his hand on the breathing tube in his neck to speak, Cai Sa-tian says he has found new meaning in his life.
Mr. Cai Sa-tian has lived in Xiangzhi village in East China for 50 years, so he knows every narrow lane like the back of his hand. But today he takes even greater pride in his hometown. Knife, string and bag at the ready, Cai Sa-tian collects recyclables around his neighborhood on a daily basis.
At first, I didn't understand. Then later when it was broadcasted on TV, on Taiwan's Dai station, I watched every evening, and then came out to volunteer.
When he mentions recycling, Cai's eyes light up with joy. But you may have noticed he holds his throat when speaking, the result of a brush with death 10 years ago.
When I was a sailor, I drank heavily and didn't get enough sleep. When I was 40, I was in the prime of life and didn't feel sick. I didn't feel a thing when I got ill. I thought it's okay, it's just a cold.
But it wasn't a cold. Cai Sa-tian had throat cancer. After his larynx was removed and a breathing device inserted, at first he couldn't speak and became reclusive.
In the third year, I could certainly talk. Amazingly, I could speak. People said it was the Buddha who saved me, so I should take the Bodhisattva path and start recycling. That's how I gradually got involved.
Through an amazing twist of fate, Cai Shatian became an environmental volunteer. He even recruited his neighbors to the cause, although at first he encountered inevitable setbacks.
If the other person loses their temper, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. If you think you have to deal with it, it will end in a fight and big problems.
Cai Shatian's neighbors were amazed to see the 180-degree change in his short-tempered nature and started to show him more respect. Now even his wife volunteers.
When his personality changed, everyone praised him and told him to follow the master and stick to it.
Life is transient. We have to learn and think. Move faster to stop wasting time.
Taking advantage of every second, Cai Shatian is satisfied with his lots in life and makes sure he lives each day to the full.
Last year, the Xinsi community in Hsinchu's Hukou Township was winner of Taiwan's Environmentally Conscious Model Community Award. In this Hakka community, residents decided to stand up and take charge of cleaning up and beautifying the banks of the nearby Beisi River by using local and sustainable resources to change their surrounding environment for the better. The residents are showing how humans and nature can harmoniously coexist. This is Xinsi community of Taiwan's Hsinchu County. The distinguished landscape and decoration are not done professionally, but the result of residents using local resources to their best advantage.
When we were modifying the surroundings, we kept the same motif and retained the original vegetation.
Looking at the riverbanks now, there is green as far as the eye can see, but it wasn't always like this. Before, it was a mess, just tall weeds surrounding a small footpath. But under the direction of the community head and the village head, we volunteers got together and made the path wide and clean.
All these stones were dug up by ourselves. As we walk on the grass we planted and see the flowers blooming, it feels very close and intimate. We respect and take care of the environment here, and we ask that those using this path help keep it clean. And that way everyone works together to maintain a clean environment.
Turning the banks of the Beisi River into a beautiful riverside park was a job entirely carried out by the members of Xinsi community. The greening of this river helped focus everyone's attention on the importance of beautifying the environment.
We come here twice a month to clean up, the first and third week of the month. So there are volunteers who are put in charge of coming here to clean up. They come here to riverbanks and tidy up wherever it is needed.
The bridge used to be full of advertising pamphlets in the past, but our volunteer took them down. However, advertisers put their flyers back immediately and we would tear them down again. It was a constant struggle.
Following the efforts of the residents, this great concrete bridge was transformed into a mural full of animals, reflecting the ecological environment of the river below. A fallow rice paddy becomes an ecological pond, where native species of plants are raised. Because this is all the work of residents, everyone treats the environment with care. Their efforts have even created an organic garden.
Let's visit the community's communal garden.
Just as the name implies, this community garden belongs to Xinsi community residents. So every plant here is raised under their careful hands.
We use no fertilizers and no pesticide, so sometimes we need to catch the bugs. No kidding, we use chopsticks to catch them.
These pesticide-free vegetables are picked and given to residents at the community's nursing home, thereby taking the love that is grown in this garden and spreading it to all.
this day, the 25th of February. In the 1986 presidential election in the Philippines with the full support of the Filipino public, Corazon Aquino led the People Power Revolution to end the 20-year authoritarian rule of Ferdinand Marcos. Aquino came into office as the head of state on this day in 1986 and as the first democratically elected woman president in Asia. Following 10 days of torrential rain in the Philippines, on February 17, 2006, southern Leyte province was struck by a devastating mudslide that killed more than 1,000 people. On this day in 2006, after a 12-hour overnight boat ride, a dozen Tzu Philippines volunteers from Cebu arrived in Leyte to distribute 500 aid packages to disaster victims. The Tzu Environmental Education Station in the Suzhou Industrial Park in China officially opened on this day in 2009. Every Wednesday, Taiwanese businessman Li Xianzong and his employees report to the station to help with recycling work. Many local residents have also been motivated to help actively spread awareness about environmentalism.
At La Romana Tzu School in the Dominican Republic, the exemplary student award is given to pupils with good grades and a mature character. However, following a new government policy, students no longer need to pay registration fees, which means the school lacked funds to pay for the award ceremony. To continue the tradition, Tzu volunteers recently organized the event on behalf of the school.
Recognizing students with good work ethics and mature personalities, the La Romana Tzu School holds an exemplary student award ceremony to honor the winners. Fifth grader Akil Perez is awarded for his good grades and compassionate heart. More than a year ago, he donated 50 pesos to Taiwan's 88 flood victims and wept at their suffering. Volunteers and dentists also conducted dental health education class for students, complete with posters and a big tooth mold to raise awareness about the importance of oral hygiene. During the break of the award ceremony, volunteers and dentists also pay a visit to care recipients living nearby as they deliver warmth to not just the school, but the community at large.
In southern Taiwan, Kaohsiung's Council of Indigenous Peoples teamed up with Tzu to hold Liu Li or color glaze fabricating class at Sanlin Dai community. Liu Li master Huang Anfu personally taught residents the lucrative job skill. That's all the time we have for. Thank you for watching Dai Headlines. Goodbye.